This morning, I am pleased to kick off the day with the president of this beautiful hotel, David Jurcak. David, thank you for being here.
Well, thank you for having me.
Really, I should probably say thank you for letting us be here.
Oh, no, it's great to have everybody here. The energy is huge.
And so tell me about that, right? Because I know folks are here at the hotel like all summer long, but I mean, you've got 1,500 people descending on this hotel every summer. What is this like?
From a person that's outsider that comes in 3 years ago and experiencing it every year, and seeing the amount of people and the important people in the Detroit regional area and the state that come together all at once. Last night we had 1,500 people in the parlor, shoulder to shoulder. You couldn't turn without hitting somebody that's huge in the state, decision maker. So there's always energy on the island. This is a different kind of energy.
Yeah, and you have quite the job helping to manage all of this energy and, well, deal with all of us.
Well, I think we have an incredible team that deals with everybody. But I do get to now kind of spin through a couple of it and make sure that everything's going right. But the team's always prepared, always ready for this event, and we look forward to it every year.
So talk to me a little bit about the history of this hotel, right? We're always like at the beautiful Grand, the historic Grand, but I mean, built and opening July 10th, 1887.
137 years ago.
Yeah.
138 seasons. So and unlike any other hotel, we've opened 138 times. So most hotels say they have one grand opening. We have a grand opening 138 times. We also closed 137 times. But the opportunity back then in 1887, this building was built in 93 days. It was built by 2 railroads and a steamship line to get people out of back then dirty cities, overcrowded cities, a lot of heat, no air conditioning in 1887, to come up in this beautiful island and have these beautiful breezes. And it's still true today. That's why people come here.
And there's a lot of the hotel that still feels historic and sort of has that sense. I'm curious because you are in the midst of I think you're year 2 of a 5-year restoration, which I want to talk a little bit about. But I mean, how do you balance that history with also the needs of the fact that we're living in the future and we need internet and electricity, right? Like, talk to me about how those two things balance with one another.
So, we didn't have televisions in the hotel until 1996. And the idea is that we don't want to have too much technology, but we have to have it be functional. But we also respect that, people come here for relaxation. They come here for the historic element of it. We don't want to be too much in their face. You won't see, big flat screen televisions other than this week. But people want to come here and relax. They want to sit on the porch. They want to wrap themselves in Americana and understand that there's a bygone time. We don't get in cars. We take carriages. So we have to address technology and make sure that they have internet, high speed, and televisions in the room that are operable. But we really want to focus more on the historic element.
Talk to me a little bit about this 5-year restoration. What's the facelift? What are we doing?
It's the facade. So it's 660 feet. It is the world's longest front porch. I challenge anybody to beat us. 660 feet. And so we said it is the postcard. It's when people walk up the hill from Cadott, it's the first thing they see of the hotel before they experience it, and they look at the majesty of this building. National Historic Landmark. And we said, we need to take care of it. And so we started scraping on this side of it, which is the east side of the building, start scraping the wood. In some cases, we found a chip that was almost a 1/4 inch thick of paint. So paint upon paint upon paint.
Oh, just where it's just been painted over and over.
So we gained a few extra square foot on the porch by scraping away paint. And then
are you going to remeasure the porch?
We are going to remeasure it. That's widthwise. Lengthwise, it's not going to get any bigger. But we've also done the columns and restoring the columns. And then ultimately, what I look forward to the most is we're going to restore the wood front porch. And there's something about walking on an old, it's not going to be old at that point, but walking on a wood front porch. You feel it and all the way through your bones. And so that will go in years 4 and 5.
What's your favorite part of the hotel?
The porch. I mean, getting out on the porch, that's why people came originally in 1887. We used to sit out there throughout the day on a rocking chair. They used to have the bands out there pre-dinner, and then people would retire after dinner out to the porch. They wanted the breezes off the lake, and that's where all the history is.
So for folks who are tuning in, give them something special. What's a story or a little tidbit about the hotel that you can't read in sort of the guidebooks? Give us a behind the scenes something.
A behind the scenes something. Well, we'll talk about the front porch. And so we were talking earlier. So originally, the porch has always been 600, not always, but since the early part of 1900, was always 660 feet. Stuart Woodville, which was our owner, bought it in 1933. Ripley's, believe it or not, came to him and said, I heard your porch is 880 feet. And he said, sure is. And so it went with that. They wrote it, 880 feet, world's longest front porch. Guinness came back years later and said, you have the world's longest front porch. We want to do that as a world record. We need to come measure it. So they came and measured it. It was 660 feet. And he said, I get press both ways. I got press from Ripley's, I get press from Guinness, and Guinness, I got even more press because Guinness proved that Ripley's was wrong. And then there's a old tale on the island that the reason it shrunk down to 660 feet is because we measured it in the winter, which isn't totally true.
Not totally. That'd be quite a little bit.
But it's a good story, and if you say it with confidence, most people
That's a great story. And there's a lot of stories about the hotel. I mean, you're walking around, right? And there's been like a lot of, I mean, of course, movies being filmed and things like that. As a political nerd and junkie, one of my favorite things is walking around and just seeing all the famed photographs, right? Of just like presidents and, I mean, governor after governor have been here. Who are some of the folks who have visited this hotel?
So we've had 6 presidents visit the hotel. The most recent high-level official was Mike Pence, delivered or visited a couple years ago to the island. We can't see any more presidents coming to the island. It's a little bit of a security risk of being able to jump off the island really quick. But stars, and what I like about this is that there are times where I've walked into somebody on the front porch who I know, either seen on television or an athlete or whatever it might be, and they're not here for that fame and fortune. They're here to be like every other visitor to Grand Hotel and just escape and just, again, sit on a rocking chair, have a nice cocktail or coffee in the morning, and just step away from everybody.
Yeah, everybody's the same here.
Everybody is the same.
David Jurcak, president of the Grand Hotel. Again, thank you for being here, and of course, thanks for having all of us here.
Thank you. Cheers.
Cheers.